I don't hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
So I remember when we first started the podcast and we asked, I think it was you who asked, we both asked like, damn, like I wonder where the topics, going to come from. And I think I remember saying, well, it's the Navy, you know what I mean? So the Navy gonna always give us something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And well, the Navy navied and gave us something to talk about. Before I even think about going there or talking about that, I do want to say that we did speak about the G-Dub last week on our podcast. And when we spoke about the G-Dub, I feel like I need to turn my lights down a little bit. But when we spoke about the G-Dub, we went right into like matter of fact conversation because we had some guests. And I don't think I took the time out to say that my prayers are for the families of the lost sailors in those, 10 months or so. The numbers, they crazy, they different and stuff like that. But I do want to first, in all seriousness, send prayers out to the families of the loved ones of the lost ones. So I do want to do that before we start talking about anything today.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Sensitive, subject. So I agree, man. Prayers to the fam, man.
But what did we learn, right? What did we learn from this week? What did we learn this week? Let's start with you. And we could kind of go back and forth on this. But what did you learn from this week?
I learned a couple things, man. The first thing I learned, because of this conversation we talking about with the G-Dub, I learned by going on Facebook, man. Like, I knew about what was going on the G-Dub, but one of the things, especially from the MacPun visit, I learned from like Facebook, right? So the things I learned was like uh, words of like, he said suck it up, and different language that we was hearing from it. So I most definitely was curious then, you know what I mean, like what was said, what was done. And suicide, man, it's a delicate, conversation. Anytime you're talking about it, whenever, however, it's always sensitive because a lot of hurt people, especially when you got that family type atmosphere. It's a lot of people hurt from that. So I most definitely wanted to see what was going on. So of course, we read the transcript on what was said. So I learned something there is that I never put too much into one side is what I will say also. Before I learned before I talk, I want to make sure, not saying one side was wrong, one side was right, but it's better to see both sides before you make an opinion on anything. I learned that. It's a lot of times I can hear something, I'm ready, man, that's right. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But then when you hear another side, sometimes you be like, oh, it wasn't that bad, I don't think. But like I said before, when you're dealing with, suicides and stuff, it's different though. You got to be politically correct all the time when you're speaking about it. So that was one of my biggest things, man. Like,
what you mean by that? Because I don't want us to.
You doing politically correct?
Yeah, I want us to make sure that we are responsible in our framing of our words, because these things get messed up a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you said, like, I don't want nobody to think, because sometimes politically correct could come across as like not real.
Well, what I want,
you know what I mean? So I want to make sure that that's not what you're saying.
What I'm saying about that is when I'm listening to both sides of it, I didn't feel like the word "suck it up" was the right word to use when I'm looking at stuff off Facebook. I don't think that was the perception that in my opinion that MacPun was trying to say. I don't think he was trying to say that. So that's what I mean by that, words matter type deal. You know what I mean? When it's out. But people have their own opinion on that anyway. But I just want to say that I kind of learned that like when I hear that word, like somebody told you to do this, I'm looking for that. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for somebody. If you say you paraphrasing or you saying you are, is your opinion, I think those things should be stated if you comment on it. You know what I mean? In my opinion, he said this, and then I can understand it a little bit more, But when I hear people talk about things and you don't say the opinion, I'm paraphrasing, I'm doing anything like that, I feel like, that you need to put the whole transcript under what you're saying, then people can read it themselves and understand it, if that makes sense. How about you?
I learned a few. I think we've already seen it, but just the power of Facebook, right? And just like the how easily open today's seller is to like say things on that platform. You know what I'm saying? And to voice their opinion. Really without regard of, anything. They looking at like that platform or social media, like, yo, this is mine. Like, this is my social media. I can say what I want to say on here, right? And that's what got people caught up a couple years ago, when it came down to stuff that had to do with like race and stuff like that. This is completely different. So, I don't want to drag this into that, but when it comes down to, things about politics and race and stuff like that, I do want sellers to kind of remember and understand that we still have a responsibility on social media, right? But the thing that I learned, there's a couple things I learned. I think the first place I want to go to is have a plan, right? Have a plan. No matter who you are, no matter how high ranked you are, have a plan. Like, don't go into anything like kind of like, yo, I was around the way. You know what I'm saying? I was around the way. And I just wanted to come out, right? Because it's important, right? And I think people mistranslated that as well. But if I'm in a neighborhood and it's a situation like that, and I do come around, I think the second thing is that I learned that I want to be able to devote my time to that. I want to be able to devote my day to it, right? I don't want it to be like an event. I'm gonna be there for the duration, however long I feel like it's needed to be, in there. And I learned it I learned that. Another thing I feel like I learned was sometimes we gotta stick with like the empathy. You know what I mean? If you in that position where you gotta address something, empathy is, and it's a conversation of something as delicate as suicide. I'm trying to stick like, what is it, like stick the landing or whatever? Like, I want to leave with people kind of feeling like I talked to them about suicide and I was empathetic about it. About suicide, about sellers committing suicide, sellers we lost, and things like that, right? That's how I want to leave. I don't want to leave with topics outside of empathy and suicide, right? So I don't know how that happens. I don't know if that happens from more like one-on-one dialogue, or more like just me listening dialogue. Because it's also certain positions of power that you hit where you got so much of it that you're not about to like really make a change in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a seller can't, that like we've seen that with like captains. A captain might do like an all hands call, and like a seller says something, and then the captain like automatically like takes like, all right, so from now on we just gonna do this. And then you got the chief mess or the war room or whoever or other sellers like, what? Like we just changed this whole thing up because this seller asked this question or whatever. So sometimes you get in that position of power where you might be doing something for like one person, or like, contributing to one person's thoughts and idea with like disregard of like, other people. And that don't have nothing to do. What I'm saying right now don't got much to do with McPine. I'm just talking on the level of, if I'm somewhere and I'm in a position of power and I gotta address something that I need to be empathetic about. I think my goal is to be empathetic. Number one, right? Number two is give them time, right? Give people time. Um, whether that be in a forum where I'm like one on one, or I got like an assistant with me. We could like listen to things, kind of give our opinions and talk problems, and stuff like that. Um, Man, I learned a lot, man. I really did learn a lot. You have to kind of know your audience. You got to know, like, again, man, you got to know what you're there for. And I always been that kind of person too. Like when, even when it come to like, I think I talked about it before, but like when it came to like school, like if they say to do this, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here for. This is what I came to do. When I leave, that's what you're gonna remember me doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, even like, in the McPon situation, in that story, I honestly didn't even hear like, the initial kind of fallout and stuff. I don't even think I heard anything from him addressing like the like, well, not the I don't think I've heard anything from him addressing like the sellers that were lost
Mm-hmm.
to the suicide. And I know he did, and I'm sure that was his intention of, going out there. But the rest of the news kind of like overtook, whatever
Why
he
he was there.
initially came
Yeah.
out there for. So I just want to make sure that I stick to the theme that I'm, there for. And it is a sensitive theme.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then, once you open those questions up, like, you know, it's here we come now, man. Like it can go down here. I remember when we had people of power come to my, commands or whatever. I remember one was the biggest thing. One, we knew they was coming a long time ago. And two, that we took questions. Like we vetted those questions too, man. I remember
Yeah, commands do that sometimes.
vet the questions on what's going to be asked and all that type of stuff. And back to, this is different though. This is different, things has happened and things that's transpired. So he, felt like he wanted to come over and say hi. But I think that's more, if you want to come there that soon. And this, I'm talking from my opinion. If you want to come over there that soon, you most definitely, I think you should be coming there to, to say hi. You know what I mean? Like to say, hey, I'm just here, to support and talk. If anybody want to talk and things like that. I don't know if all the questions you see on that transcripts a lot, man. That was all over the place. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and it's like what, like, I'm trying my best to have this conversation. Like,
yeah,
but it's like, what is the like what like the McPine, the most he going to be able to do in that moment is take your questions back somewhere
yeah,
and then go through whatever he got to go through to like try to like make an impact, right?
yeah,
But the McPine ain't about to make an impact on just your ship, right? It ain't nothing the McPine doing that is going to just affect your ship. It's going to affect everybody's ship,
yeah,
right? So when you open the floor for, I've been going back and forth on like the way that, if I'm in that situation, how I would like open the floor for questions. I've been going back and forth on that. Like, even if so, I'm not like, I'm gonna be personal, right? Because that's the only thing that I think we could always be, right? I just did a midterm, and one of the things that I said was like, I felt like was like a weakness of mine was, I'm not good when it comes to those empathetic moments. I'm not, like, I just talk, right? I find comedy in like my own trials and tribulations. I laugh at my own pain. You know what I mean? So I'm not good with like being empathetic. I know that already,
yeah,
right? So I don't even know how I would like do in this kind of situation. I think in a lot of different ways, this kind of situation could be like, if you in that position where it's expectations, I think in a lot of different ways, this kind of situation could be a lose-lose, you know? you could go there, you could just talk, you could not open the floor for questions. People are gonna think you don't care about
Yeah.
like what they gotta say, but when you open the floor for questions, you about to get questions about everything. You know what I'm saying? Even sellers that's not affected by the sellers that, were lost, because some people aren't, you know what I mean? They gonna have their own line of questions for something else,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, like I said, man, I have a hard time with empathy
Yeah.
myself.
I mean, I do too. But I'm like you said though, I can talk though. You know what I mean? If I can talk and I can be reasoned and I can, say what I need to say, but you think I can go do that on the fly? This guy can't. You know what I mean? It's
Nah.
like ain't no way I can go do that on the fly. I most definitely have to think about it and see what. And then even like sometimes when you are talking, if I had to go talk to a family or anybody, this whatever the case may be, I want to go talk to that family ahead of time. I want to go talk to maybe the mom, maybe the dad. If I'm going to somebody and talk about something, so I can get more info or about something before I go up and speak. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want more information about things. Like um if I was going to a ship to talk, what I'm gonna do, man, I'm gonna go talk to the mess. I'm gonna go talk to the probably CO and XO. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go do all that stuff
Yeah.
ahead of time so I kind of can feel, you know,
Pulse check.
pulse check type
Like a
deal. Yeah,
pulse
yeah,
check,
yeah.
right?
And that's
You
just
know,
me. You know what I mean? When it comes to stuff like that, man. But yeah, man, it's a tough situation, man. But like I said before, and I'm gonna stick with it. I know I probably get a little backlash behind it, but um, I didn't feel like the message that this is why I got two things, man, and I don't want to be on this, and get too crazy about it, but two things I got. One, I don't think what he said was that upsetting, but the last thing I want to say is what you said about what you there for. You know what I mean? I don't think he hit that enough on the reason why he stepped on board the ship. You know what I'm saying? Now, because some of those stuff they was talking about really didn't some of it did, but some of it didn't have anything to do with why he was even there. I mean,
yeah, but the crazy thing with that is this though. It's like in that moment, right? It's always going to be connected to the
yeah,
suicides,
yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like whatever you say, no matter what.
yeah,
Like if somebody asks you a question about like anything, like it's too loud or whatever, and like if whatever you say at some point is going to be connected to the suicide. Because I was reading another article, right? And the article was about, and it was an article like ABC News,
yeah.
man, and it was about the GW,
Mm-hmm.
and it was sellers talking about, it was one seller like, it was one seller saying like, I had to like sit on a bucket and watch people like weld. I was like, oh, me, I'm like, oh, that's the fire watch. I was like, they had to do now. I mean, is we chuckle or you
Yeah.
chuckle, but this was a seller who had a suicidal ideation,
Mm.
or even went as far as actually making an attempt at one time just from depression. And then you got a father saying his son would drive 8 hours home every weekend and not want to leave his house because he didn't want to go back, to the ship. Um, I got so many thoughts about a lot of this. And I don't really know if we know the answer. I don't know if we know the answer. And since I don't know if we know the answer, another one of my lessons learned is I don't think that I would be trying to provide one.
Yeah.
Um,
Most
and,
definitely.
in a certain moment, or even trying to challenge in that moment, trying to challenge the thoughts of a young sailor.
Yeah.
Like, so for instance, like we just did an episode last week and we got into a conversation about seeking help, right? And in that conversation about seeking help, we had a good conversation back and forth about why sellers don't want to seek help. And my thought process was you have to, you got to focus on yourself. But the forum in which we had the conversation is a better forum to get that off, like to get those kind of thoughts
Yeah.
off. Cause I could say what I got to say. The seller could say what they got to say. I could take what the seller said and be able to give a real spirited like rebuttal. And it's not like, oh, he's a senior chief, so I can't really argue with him. So I just got to listen. And when I leave, have a bad thought. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say you say something as whoever you are, right? And somebody like even on like this podcast, right? We say something, and if we got like a guest, the guest could get clarity on what we said, or like we've said things, I've said things, you've said things where like after we talk about it like for like 2 minutes or something, we like kind of like take that back. Like, oh no,
Yeah.
nah, like, well, I don't mean that. I mean this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you in that situation where you standing in front of 2,000, however many, sellers, and and you say something and there's nobody there like that, because it's not called for at that, it's not a debate, so it's not called for at that moment to challenge you. You in that moment, in that context, in lack of planning and all of that, you probably gonna say something wrong.
Yeah.
I'll probably say things wrong. We've probably said like 10 things wrong already on this podcast episode. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that's all like contingent on like the way people receive it. Because
Yeah.
all right, so a fact of this is that the opinions on this whole thing was divided, right? The opinions on the aftermath of all of this was divided, right? It was sellers who felt like McPine was wrong, right?
Yeah.
It was sellers who felt like that they understood what McPine said, right? Um, a lot of the sellers that I think feel like McPine was wrong, a lot of them were like some of the like younger sellers going up to chiefs and stuff like that. But for sure, a lot of the people that felt like they understood what he said were like older, right? For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I managed to talk to one of my younger sellers just to get a thought, right? And I could tell whatever the initial thought was changed after some time. I'm like, well, what do you think? And she has some real good opinions about it all. But I think it's worth thinking about. I think it's worth talking about, especially to your sellers, especially if they ask. I talk to them about it, like because I thought about like I just think about like when I was a junior seller, or even like as near in time ago as like when George Floyd. Remember when the thing happened with George Floyd and like nobody was saying nothing?
Yeah.
Like you just like it's like, yo, this
Ain't
thing
nobody.
like
I remember.
did it really
look,
happen?
I remember. I remember you said, "What you say to me? Are we acting like this ain't happened?"
Yeah,
You know what I
it's like,
mean?
yo, this happened. Then you looking at like a young black sailor that's like down in the dumps, like, and you could see it in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? They like looking at you, and I'm like, yo, you good? And they like, nah, chief, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like the boom. It's like, yo, but we acting like this ain't. So I want to make sure, like, when something like this happen, that's all over Facebook, that's all over everywhere, that we can actually talk about it, right? And so that's why I think I wanted to talk like lessons learned from this. I probably our assessment of it is probably weak.
Yeah.
It's probably a weak assessment, but I feel like a lot of people already talked about it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And gave good, like, yo, if you want to hear like a good, I gotta plug them real quick, but Don't Give Up the Ship got a real good like breakdown of all of this. You know what I'm saying? I can't give a great breakdown because I didn't read the transcript. All of it. I sent it to you, but I ain't read all that. That was a
It
whole lot
was
of
a lot.
and
It was a lot.
and I'm not reading all that. And then I I didn't listen to the audio. I do plan on it because I want to get the full context of everything. But when the story first broke, I didn't register it. I didn't register it. I intentionally don't register those. I intentionally don't register those kind of stories initially because I know the generation that we in, I want to find resources and I want to actually see what was said. And that has nothing to do with me having any favor to like what the MCPON will have to say or not. That just got something to do with me having a fair assessment. I do that with everything.
Yeah.
Any story, anything happen, anything happen, I look at context and I see what's going on. And I'm sure that some things that McPon said, I'm sure he got some regrets. I'm not going to say I'm sure some things he said he wish he took back, but I'm sure he got some regrets. Probably, like not like surveying the scene a little bit more and understanding the audience a little bit more in that moment of time when you decided to go there kind of unplanned. Like I'm sure some of that is things that he wished that he, could take back. And like I said, do you think it's a lose lose? You think that conversation is a lose lose?
Um, I think it would have. I think, and this me going back and having to listen to the whole transcript. What I saw, what I read a lot of it. Um,
So not like let's not talk about like McPine and that whole thing,
okay,
right? But like in that situation, crises, a bunch of sellers commit suicide, ship, you gotta go talk to
yeah.
them,
I think the
right?
win is to talk about that. I think,
Just to be empathetic.
yeah,
Just to be
yes,
empathetic, right?
yes, yes. That's what I think. I think we should go
I,
there and talk about that type of stuff, though. You know what I mean? And be
I want to know from what's
go ahead,
up.
go ahead, go ahead.
I just want to know from like listeners, like junior sellers and stuff like that. Should the floor be open for questions? That's like one of the things I want to know. Like if you got somebody high ranking on your ship, a fleet, whatever, right? A fleet, McPine, whoever. In a moment like that where it's about empathy, right? Should the floor be open for questions? Do you want to get those questions off? And that I want to know from sailors, young sailors, what they think about like that. Because I had this conversation where, like I said, I was kind of iffy on how I would take questions. I don't think I would take them open forum. But like I said, when we first started, I'm devoting my day on that shit probably. Like I'm near at least 6 hours.
Yeah,
Right. So I'm talking for like at least 20, however long, 10 minutes, however long I'm talking. And then I'm like, yo, I'm here for you guys today. Um, and that ain't a knock on like, whatever McPon plan was, but that's what my plan would be. I'm here for you guys today. I just sabotaged NC1's office or well, somewhere, and I'm gonna just be here with my recorder, whoever I got there, that's taking all the and and all that person took. I'm gonna be here with this person, and we here to listen. We're here to listen.
yeah,
We're not here to talk. We're here to listen. Um, and I want to know what you guys are going through.
yeah,
And then you could leave and you have time to like take some kind of action. You got time, because a McPine ain't about to go and clear tags and like get water back. Like that's just being honest. Like like a McPine is no real action that the McPine can do in that moment to save the day. So you're there, like, and that's literal. So somebody might have just turned their nose up on that, but that's honest to like that's honest. Like the McPine not about to go clear tags and restore ventilation. So the McPine there, like I'm here to listen, and then we can move forward and see and take action and assess. And I got people, and anybody of that kind of power got people smarter than them. So I got people smarter than me that I'm gonna take these problems to, and we're gonna figure something out.
yeah,
And I know it's a seller, some listening probably like, well, we've been having these problems. We ain't figured them out yet. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? But like, have you been able to get it, that close to like McPine or somebody like that to be able to actually take these as action items? So I think I would take questions, but more one-on-one. Where I got time to sit down, talk to you, kind of get to know you, your temperament, and write down what your issue is,
yeah,
versus the open forum, all hands call. Even though some of those answers everybody need to hear, but we could create like they create in transcripts anyway. So we could create a transcript and then shoot that transcript, back out to the ship after. So the ship could kind of see that, the questions that I was able to fill. And we could debrief that. We could even debrief it on a higher scale, such and such is visit to such and such ship. These are some of the problems that our sellers said that they were facing. And as we create our poem to address or fix, some of these problems, something like that. Um, I don't think the fast way, um, you know, like you said,
works all the
if
time
it's
too.
that way,
Yeah,
it's probably, yeah, like, so. But all right, so we need to, you want to talk about this managed expectation bit? Because I feel like that was, I think some junior sellers took that as a direct to them. like manage your expectations. But I think manage the expectations more so came to like um I know recruiters are taking it like it's to them as well. But I think that's just full scale. My perception of that is this full scale leadership. Period. Like we need to manage expectations better or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that he's right about that, right? I'm not saying he right in that statement. I'm not saying he wrong in that statement, but I'm saying like, who did you think that statement? That statement wasn't to junior sellers. He wasn't telling junior sellers to manage their expectations.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't what he said. Like the quote wasn't even that wasn't even a quote.
Yeah.
The quote was more about doing better at, managing your expectations. And like I said, I remember talking about like a sailor on a ship, a junior sailor, being like, "Man, like I ain't know we, go out to sea," and I'm like, "Yeah, like hell yeah," They like, "Yeah, I got to get off this ship," you know what I mean? Like, and to me, my initial thought there was, "Damn, like who the hell didn't tell this sailor that we go out to sea?"
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean,
I mean,
I think that the manager expectations was more came, and that is my opinion too, came from the fact that as older sailors, we always talk about our experiences. You know what I
yeah,
mean? What we've been through while we was here, and that can be translated into, you know, um, I did it, you can do it too. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was
Yeah.
going to talk about
And
that.
I
Yep.
think that's where that verbiage and that way of thinking from people came from. And I can see that too. I can see people thinking of it like that too. Um, but we have to adapt to, and people are different, and just like we talked about a couple times about how we came up, and we telling our junior sailors, I did this when I was that, when I was in your position
Yeah.
type deal, same type of stuff. So we need to everybody to do better at that type of stuff, because
Yeah.
we are.
One of my junior sellers said something like, "Well, just because it always been like that, don't mean it got to stay like that."
Mhm,
And I'm like, that's right. And I've said that before, right?
yeah.
I remember like, being on the ship in the yards and it's loud, it's noise. And I used to hate it. I'd be mad. Like, it's always noise, boom, boom, boom. I never thought, I never like me, who I was as a seller, never thought to like bring that up. Like, and I would have never thought like to ever bring that up to like
Hmm.
to the MCPON, for instance, right? But we got people who do. We got people who like I used to hate it. Like I just cover my other, pillow, headphones. I used to hate it. You know what I mean? So I know the feeling of hating that sound, but maybe I was just too dumb or hardened to think like that was that big of an issue to like bring it up. But we also talked about me going through stints of like depression
Hmm.
before for different things like that. But I mean, again, like I said, man, the last thing I want to talk about is the comparison thing. My wife, she got a quote up here that says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And compare, like you said, and I said, it's off putting, when we say, "Hey, when I was a first class, when I was this, when I was that."
Yeah.
And I've never had a conversation with like an older chief, um, and I feel like a little weirded out when they try to compare when they first joined or
Hmm.
something to something. I was talking to somebody recently, and respect to the person or whatever, but they brought up World War II.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? like, like they brought up World War II. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this ain't that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we not in those times,
No.
man. You know what
No.
I mean? So last question, just in my thought is like, what does the Navy look like in 20 years to you?
Ooh, I don't know, man. That's a question I had to sit down with, man. Like in 20 years, I'm telling you, I've been in 20 years and it has changed, right, a lot. But
Yeah.
what I would tell anybody, right now in 2022, man, if you're in any type of leadership position, civilian or military, you better learn how to adapt to situations, man, and adapt to people, and the right way too, though, the right way. Um, Because if you don't, man, you're gonna get ran out of the building or ran off the ship or whatever the case may be, man. You gotta learn how you got to, man. Uh
So in 20 years, right? That's why we did the episode, the one about dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
Like just for this whole, I feel like this whole thing, this whole conversation, right, was like pretty much a bridge off of that. In 20 years, the sellers that's junior right now, right?
mhm.
A lot of the sellers from the G Dub in the article that I read were first year sellers, right? Who love the Navy, who said they love the Navy, they want to be in the military, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In 20 years, if these sellers, are this generation, right, staying in, they're gonna be the leaders.
Yeah.
They're gonna be the leaders of it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm gonna be watching. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be watching it. I won't be in. I got a few years left, but I'm gonna be watching because I'm interested in what it looks like. Because I know 20 years ago it looked a whole lot different.
Whole lot different.
From like hazing and like things that like getting like things that I don't even really want to talk about because we got civilians that listen to the podcast. But I remember my aunt telling me the stories of like when she, went from like enlisted to officer, and they didn't sound like pretty, like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they sounded like it was some stuff going on that like I wouldn't want to happen,
And most
like some
definitely won't be
fraternity.
happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm anxious to see what we in a progressive time. I'm anxious to see what 20 years look like, and we might have lost about 10 listeners this episode.
Yeah.
But to all our listeners that we still
love you
got,
guys
man,
still,
thank
man.
you guys. We love you. We love you. We just want to talk a little bit about that, but not talk about it like
Yeah.
as like news reporters are reported, because that's what everybody else been doing. Everybody's already talked about it. It's an old topic at this point. And I don't say that to like minimize it, you know what I mean? But after about a week in a news cycle, things get a little old. Now it's still work we need to do, but as far as a news story and us being all over it, reporting it from beginning through end and all of that, nah, like that ain't it.
Yeah. I agree, man.
Right.
I agree. So with that being said, man, we're gonna jump right into this hero of the week we got, man.
Let's go.
So this week we have um Ty Carter. So Ty Michael Carter. Closer to my age, man. January 25th, 1980. From Spokane, Washington. So big shouts out to Spokane, Washington.
I want to say it's Spokane.
Spokane, Washington.
Spokane,
yeah,
I
man.
think. I just don't want nobody from Spokane like being like, yo, fuck you, man.
Hey, our
Like-
listeners know I'm from Mississippi, man. It's okay. But you're right. I don't want to jack it up, though. All right, man. We're going to get right into the citation, man. All right. Specialists Ty M. Carter distinguished themselves by act of gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty while serving as a scout with Bravo troops, 3 Delta Squadron, 61st Cavalry Regiment, the 4th Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division, doing combat operations against an armed enemy in Kimdish District, Nuristan Province, Afghanistan on October the 3rd, 2009. On that morning, Specialist Carter and his comrades awakened to an attack of an estimated 300 enemy fighters occupying the high ground on all 4 sides of combat outpost Keaton, employing concentrated fire from recoilless rifles, rocket-propelled grenades, anti-aircraft machine guns, mortars, and small arms fire. Specialist Carter reinforced a forward battle position, ran twice through a 100-meter gauntlet of enemy fire to resupply ammunition, and voluntarily remained there to defend the isolated position. Armed with only an M4 carbine rifle, Specialist Carter placed accurate deadly fire on the enemy, beating back the assault force and preventing the position from being overrun over the course of several hours. With completed disregard of his own safety and in spite of his own wounds, he ran through a hell of enemy rocket-propelled grenades and machine gun fire to rescue critically wounded comrade who had been pinned down in the exposed position. Specialist Carter rendered life-extending first aid and carried the soldiers to cover. On his own initiative, Specialist Carter again maneuvered through enemy fire to check on a fallen soldier and recovered the squad's radio, which allowed them to coordinate their evacuation with fellow soldiers. With teammates providing cover fire, Specialist Carter assisted in moving wounded soldier 100 meters through withering enemy fire to the aid station, and before returning to the fight, Specialist Carter heroic actions and tactical skills were critical to the defense of Combat Outpost Keaton, preventing the enemy from capturing the position and saving the lives of his fellow soldiers. Specialist Ty M. Carter's extraordinary heroism and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty are in keeping in the highest tradition of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, Bravo Troop, 3 Delta Squadron, 61st Cavalry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division, and the United States Army. So yeah, man, Specialist Carter, man, did a lot, man. We talking about 4 sides having the high ground, with a task of beating back the forces was probably seeming dim for everybody that was there. You know what I mean? But again, we have a guy here put his own life on the line to go out on a pretty much, I can say, a man on a mission. You know what I mean? You running through fire. You running through um, missiles. You running through firefights and bullets and all type of stuff. Man, you being wounded, but nothing's stopping you from doing what you need to do to try to save your comrades or save your own self or whatever the case may be, man. Like these guys that we talk about every week or every 2 weeks is heroes, man. And if you look it up in the dictionary, man, this is what it's all about, being a hero.
Yeah. And he pretty much did everything you could do.
Yeah.
Right. Like he did everything you could do.
Yeah.
From shooting to like saving people to like performing like first aid stuff. He did like pretty
How
much
about even the
everything you could do.
communication, getting the communication back to coordinate? You know what I mean? That was huge right there, man.
Yeah, he did everything. We watched a movie about him too, and we reviewed it on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The movie wasn't about him, but the Outpost. He was one of the soldiers. Yeah, he was one of the soldiers, and Ty Carter was one of the soldiers in that. Well, Specialist Carter was one of the soldiers in that movie. So we should, and he actually met the player who Caleb Landry Jones played him, and they actually met each other or whatever. So, nice. And we got to see it. It's been a while. You know what I'm saying? But we got to see it in that movie. He did some heroic actions, and that's a good movie, The Outpost. So if you never saw it, not you, but listener, if you never saw it, go check it out. Good movie. Hero, worth, getting a movie made about, and we always, hear these stories and wonder what they would look like. And, that story actually has a movie. So
yeah, most definitely, man.
How your week was? Like I was listening to our last pod, and like I remember he was like, yeah, we always start our podcast talk about our week. So how your week was? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to ask you, man. How your week was, man. How your week was.
Hey, I got you, man.
How was your week, man?
So, man, I had I'm always out and about, man, on my week, man. But first, I want to say, you guys see me, I got the cheer hat on, so my daughter is trying out, for the team today. So, big shouts out to Great Oaks High School, man. Always doing great.
Was that like varsity or something?
Yeah. She'll be a senior next year, so she out there doing big things, man. And another shout out, man. Congrats to all the reserve and the FTS guys for the Master Chiefs and Senior Chief results came out. So congrats to all those guys also. So yeah, man, I had to go. I was on a ship, of course, doing inspection. Big ship, man, on Anfield, man. Like, oh my goodness, dude. I used to think about, man, you know what? I used to go back to see it go on one of these big old Anfields, man. But walking those ladders on that airfield, man, I don't know if your
Yeah.
boy can make it on there, man. Whew, we talking about a LHD. Oh my goodness, boy, that thing is huge, man. Telling you
Yeah,
for
it's a
real,
lot
man.
of
It's a
spaces.
lot of
A lot of
spaces on there, man.
spaces.
So yeah, man, so we got this thing now, man. We kind of started where, something happens on ships or whatever the case may be, man. We might go out and assist them, man. Emergency
The
stuff, man. I
emergency.
think I, I think now that may have became the norm now, man.
It's like
Might have became the
remediation.
norm. I don't know, man, but it might have became the norm for us, man. So yeah, man, that's how my week went, man. Dealing with the kids. Kids also, they play, sports and stuff, man. I got my son and got him first time ever we did this, man, but I got him a one-on-one coach, man.
Mm.
And man, like it's like I'm watching him out there, man. I just can already see his confidence building, man. Like when he out there one-on-one, man. So that's one of the things, man. I've been out there watching them so I can take some of them tools I see that coach doing, man. You know what I mean? Me and him can
Yeah.
go do our thing, man, sometimes. So it's been that type of week, man. Yeah. How about
So
yours, man?
about the kids. Well, what's the deal with these? What's the deal with the? I'm hearing like it's a lot of like then they like it's been tag out issues. So they like, you know anything about this? Like tag out issues and like them being kind of like addressed more in the fleet. You heard anything about
Yeah,
that?
actually, man, you bring up that I actually like let me see how I want to say this, man. It has the attention of the big guys, man, when it comes to tag outs, man, because like I was going through these emails and I see like we had to send off our inspection stuff like that. And one of the biggest topics was, man, like I want to know about uh tag outs and electrical safety, man. Like that was
Yeah, I
the two
heard. Yeah, I
top
heard about that.
things, man, right there that we
Yeah.
want to know about you. And when you think about it, those two things are very important, right? That's the things out there that can kill you. That's things out there that can break equipment and stuff, man. So, but yeah, man, it's on the top of the list, man, of those of the big dogs, man.
I remember we had the inspectors over for serve, and then like the dude, he was just ready to like fail the program like so bad. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I found one. You got one left. You got like
Oh
he's like, you got
man,
one left, man. You got one left. And then they like, I think they like tried to find it. We fought it. You know, we fought it. And I'm like being humble already. Like he talking to me. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got one left, man. You got one left. You know, like, yo, who you
who you
talking
talking?
to, man? Like,
What you
like
mean,
he
man?
wasn't even like an EM, like he wasn't even an electrician, you know. But they found it. They found a tag out violation.
Of course.
Um, I ain't gonna say which department it was in, but it was combat. But I ain't gonna say that. But so they found a tag out violation, right? They hit us
Mm-hmm.
on it, and then they like he like just all around like coming back. He had like the biggest smile on his face too.
Like
Like
he
he was about to
got him,
I'm gonna
coach.
tax that ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, nah, bro, nah, we not gonna have no more of those.
not
But
today.
I'm glad they doing something about it.
Yeah,
There's
man.
another thing that I noticed when I went to visit the ship, though. I saw a Master Chief standing duty, man. I saw some Nas on duty, man.
Yeah, man.
Because you know the Navy check, like we talk about these things, right? But like seeing them happen, you know, I'm on shore duty.
Bro.
The only nines I know are like the SELs and CMC and stuff like that. So it's like to go on a ship and see a 9 in there, you know, in the berthing, watching a movie.
Yeah, man.
Yo, one day these 9s gonna hurt me, man. But the see a 9 on there on duty was like crazy,
Yeah,
man.
It's most
That was
definitely
different.
different, man. Especially for us, because we know how it was, man. But you're right. Admiral came out after that BHR thing, man. Admiral came out and like laid the law down on that, man. He was very clear on who was not standing duty.
Did we ever get an answer about the BHO? We still waiting
No, we
on
ain't got no
like
answer for that
the
yet.
final
Yeah.
word about that, right?
Yeah.
That ain't lasting just as long as the Megan Thee Stallion case, man.
I know, right?
It's lasting a long time, man. Like,
Yeah,
damn, they been
man.
quiet about
She ain't
it.
quiet no more, but she put that song out, boy. She ain't quiet, but yeah.
She did an interview too. All right, so look, let me talk about my week,
Yeah.
man. So today, let me talk about today. I took leave so I could go to a commissioning ceremony, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been tracking this commissioning ceremony for the longest. I knew, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go there. It's at 12:30. I'll probably be there. It's 2 hours long. I knew it was 2 hours. I'd probably be there for 2 hours. Then I was gonna leave and then go back home. And then at some point we was gonna do the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my plan. So I get there at 12:30. It's in Dahlgren, so it take me like an hour to get to Dahlgren, Virginia. I get there at 12:30, and I get to the park that the commissioning ceremony was happening at, and I only saw like 5 people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, he only got like, I'm like, man, this big thing, and like this is a commissioning ceremony. You know what I mean? So what's the deal with 5? Warren Gonzalez too. Hey, shout out, congrats on on making Warren. But like I'm like, it's only 5 people at your commissioning ceremony. Like this is weird, So we walking up, and he like I see him like do the look, and he sees me. He's like, oh man, that's Damo or whatever. Even though he say my name wrong, he called me Damo, but he said whatever. So we get there, and I'm like weirded out because he already got his collar devices on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't automatically salute him. I'm like, is he like wearing them, like just trying to see how they look, like what's going on or whatever, right? So he's like, you here for the commission? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, yo, it happened at 10:30.
You missed the commission,
Bro, I was 2 hours late.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Yo, I'm like, too. And it's crazy because I was looking forward to going. Because one of our Dirk was there, right? I'm like, and I'm already in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna probably stand somewhere near Dirk, listen to whatever Dirk, talking about, have some laughs or whatever like that. And then I knew I wasn't gonna be able to stay, so I was gonna make the most of the moment. Yo, and then I felt bad for them because it's already 2 hours after the ceremony, and they was like, looked like they were the last people there, so they was like wrapping up. And then it's like they gotta kind of talk to us for at least like 15 minutes. We came all the way out there. I'm like, hey man, don't take too much time talking to me, man. Go ahead. He was like, don't talk about this on the podcast. I'm like, nah, I'm definitely going.
Bro,
so, like,
hold up, man.
Yeah.
Hold up. You got this shit for this shit, man. Because you said in the beginning of your story, you made that shit for this shit. You said you was wondering why it was 5 people.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, it's 5. I'm like, yo, my man. And I told him, I'm like, I was wondering, man. It's like, you got like 5, like damn, like ain't nobody want to see you like transition the hook. You know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, I'm 2 hours late. I got Angeline with me. She didn't,
she probably mad.
Put her face on, and no, she don't get mad. She don't get mad. She's the easiest, going person in the world. But like she get makeup, all this stuff, man. I just was like, all right, we need to do something. I want her like just to feel unfulfilled. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was wild, man.
That's funny.
That was
That's
a
crazy
thing. I took leave, man. I took leave. And it was like we had to wear the khakis, all that stuff, right? So that was that.
Yeah.
So let me get into. So here's another thing happened to me this week, right? I'm walking across, like I've been going to the gym like a whole lot, right? I know you've been seeing it, in the watch, right? Yeah. So I leave the gym, and like now and it's like I was doing a 2-a-day, right? So my mind is messed up. It's crazy, right? But I see this. I'm crossing the street, right? So I'm in the middle of the street, and I see this officer, right? While I'm trying to figure out if it's an officer, a chief, or junior enlisted. They got the N-dubs on. So, you gotta like kind of like squint to like make it out or whatever. So I'm looking, and I'm looking hard, right? And then I noticed at some point I do notice the officer, and I'm like, all right, because I'm like, I gotta salute him, you know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, when I get across the street, make sure I salute this dude, because that's one of the things I like, I honor and pride myself in making sure I'm saluting officers. So I'm like, if it's one thing that I don't want to do, it's not salute an officer when I, see them. So as I finally figure out, like, okay, he an officer, I'm gonna salute him, I hear on the left of me, senior, right? Like that's what I hear. Like, right? That's all I hear is senior. it's a full bird captain like that. I ain't noticed because I was too busy. I was too busy looking at this other dude, right? That I ain't noticed the full bird captain. He's like, senior? I'm like, oh shit. I popped on and salute him, right? Now look though, he was with his wife, right? So like, he probably walking around the base like, yo, I'm the man out here. Like, he's just, like, you know what I'm saying? With his wife. Like, so he probably like, and she probably been seeing it like, these people, they salute you when they walk past. Meanwhile, little old senior chief just about to walk right by you. Like, nah,
not today.
Senior. I'm telling you, it was so sharp. He was like, senior?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Who the fuck do you think you are that you're not about to salute me?
Not finna walk by
you know what
me.
I'm saying?
I gotta make sure I have a good night tonight. I'm gonna have a good night tonight.
You got your old lady, and they was walking through. He was an older captain too, man. I felt so bad. Like, I almost wanted to turn around, like, hey, sir, I ain't mean to like not salute you. I was too busy looking at the other officer that I didn't even notice you walking past me. But I felt like that was gonna be too much, and I was gonna look super crazy or whatever like that. But I'm telling you, the way he hit me with that senior, bro, I felt like I was an E1 again. I remember I was an E1, and I was walking around. I had both headphones in my ear, and it's like, now that I'm older, and I realize he was an ensign or whatever, still an officer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he was an ensign, and he chopped me down the sides, bro. He chopped me down the sides, like, and it's crazy being a senior chief thinking like, yo, did this captain like look at my ball cap to see what command I'm from? Because like he want to tell somebody that like I ain't salute him. And I hope he know. I mean, if you listen to the pod, I'm sure you don't, right? But if you listen to the pod, sir, I'm sorry, man. I was too busy looking at the lieutenant commander that I forgot to look at you and salute you. So that was the first one, right? So here's the second one, right? This ain't really something that happened, but this like a question. How do you feel when you got to correct somebody about? Yo, I'm so glad we finished talking about the McPon stuff, man. We got some good stuff to talk about. Got some good stuff to talk about. Like, so, like when you got to correct somebody about your rank, your rate and your rank. I mean, when is the last time you had to correct somebody about your rate or rank? Do you do that often?
I don't, but I look, dude, like I'll be on the ship, and I still got the end up the old style little tag right there, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I be calling chief a lot. But I don't go out my way to correct them though.
Why not?
I don't know, man. Just not like, and I even tell them like most of the time though, they correct themselves. They see me from a distance, and they be like, "Hey, good morning, chief. Oh, my bad, senior chief." And I be like, "Oh, you good, man?" You know what I mean? I just I don't go out my way to correct them, but most of the time they correct themselves. Now, I ain't that type of dude like, hey, shipmate. You know what I mean? I ain't go shipmate them.
Like,
you know what I mean?
I'm a senior chief.
Yeah,
I'm a senior chief. Yeah. Get it right.
Yeah,
I'm a EA. Get it right.
I ain't gonna go that far, man. I ain't gonna go that far. Or maybe what I have done before, like if they say, what's up, chief, and I might be like, hit them with the point. You know what I mean? Like, but I keep walking though. You know what I mean? You know how you just doing things like
you point at the star.
Like I'm telling you, like me, dude. I don't even like pay attention to it as much, and I'm not doing it as being an arrogant or ass about it. It's just as I'm walking, I'm smiling and it's good morning. I'm like, good morning, and they saying like whatever, and I just like let's keep it going. You know what I mean? Because they ain't paying attention to it at all anyway. Just like I'm not really locked in on what you doing. You're probably not locked in on what I got going on. So I'll be like, give him a little point real quick. And they be like, oh, sorry, see ya. And it's just that quick, just that smooth, man. And easy day, man. I do it most of the time. I do it to like mess with sailors though. Not to just like to be an ass about it. Just messing with sailors, man.
All right, so check it out. So I've been getting called the wrong rate a lot, right?
Oh no.
I don't care.
Whoa.
I don't care. Right.
Okay.
So I don't care when people call me like chief or whatever, right? I don't like when people call me sir, though. I don't like that. Yeah. Like, it's like the civilian. I work with a bunch of civilians. It's like they always say sir. It's like just in the military, like for some reason, it just feels weird. And I don't know. I feel like I'm like an imposter or something like, yo, I'm not, sir. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. But like, I've been getting called the wrong rate a lot, right? So for instance, on duty, I had duty last week and I relieved the HMC. You know what I mean? And then we got to talk to like regional operations center. And when they emailing me, they calling me HMC as well, as if, I'm a HMC, right? Now, this same HMC has been calling me a ET, ETCS, right? ET, right? And and like sometimes I don't really be caring, but it's like other people see it, right? Other people see it and they be like, "Oh, you're an ET man," like
they already know you're an EM, right?
Yeah, like my CM, even like so I got like even when I got picked like to run the season, when they put the like my name out to like every chief in the region, right? It was the wrong rate, right? So my CMC, he was like, "Oh man, like when did you become like a LS?" I forgot what rate it was, but it was just wrong, right? He was like, "When did you become a LS, man?" I'm like, yo, everybody they getting my rate wrong, man. And I'm super serious about names, not my name. But if somebody was mispronouncing your name, for instance, I would be like, yo, his name is Damon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my name is all right, but I feel like I'm the defender of everybody
Else's
that I
name.
know else name, right? But so I've been trying to get this school scheduled, right? And I've been talking to this LS1, right? Cool, real cool LS1, like dope dude. But he been calling me an ETCS. You know what I mean? Hey, shout out to Rich Segovia, ETs I know, but I don't want to be called no ET, man. You know what I mean? I used to work with them too. I love them, but I ain't trying to be
Why?
called ET.
What kind of issue?
EM.
I mean, besides the rank, it's not your rate. What
It's
is
not
it? Is
my
it anything
rate.
else?
It ain't my rate.
But that's it
I'm
though,
an
right? Because
EM.
not your rate, not because
You know what
of
I'm saying?
nothing else though, right?
But it's like this, right? So he been calling me an ET. And then when I email him back, I'll keep saying EMCS, right? Now he a cool LS, like he cool, right? He's a cool guy, right? He about to retire, stuff like that. He real cool. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to tell him that, I'm an EM, right? I'm gonna have to tell him that I'm an EM. And I knew, like it's like pretentious, but it's like that's probably the wrong word. But it's like I know, like it's gonna be like I'm like standing on top of like a mountain. I'm with EM, you know what I mean?
Down.
Like, yeah, and it don't even mean that, right? But it's just like I just want you to call me like the right, rate, right? So I was like, man, and that's why I don't like correcting people because I know they look at it like, they look at it like I'm defining, like I'm defining myself in my rate and rank. So I finally did it though. I was like, hey, I'm EMCS.
It's like you said. I mean, how did you start it off though? Did you like you like?
it was an email. No, I even put LOL. You know when
it was an email
when it ain't funny, but you want it to seem funny. You know what I'm saying? It's like yo, I'm a EM.
Yeah.
LOL or whatever.
Yeah.
So it
was kind of one of those like email tough guys. That's probably how he felt, right? Oh, this old email tough guy right here.
No, I don't do that. I don't do the tough guy on the email. I'm super humble on the email. I do, man. I'm super humble on the email. I'd rather see, you face to face and us have a real, like on some real, like serious. I'd rather us have a real conversation. But I would never do that with him. I do that with Khaki. But but when I emailed him, I was like, yo, it's EMCS, LOL, He emailed me back. Oh, my bad. EMCS.
And I'm not surprised though, dude. I'm not surprised.
He's like, my bad. I'm like, yo, you cannot correct somebody on your rank, man. I mean, on your rate, man. You just
funny,
can't.
Man.
Like, you just gotta take it.
You're right, though, man. Automatically, you know what? That's the main reason why I just let him make it.
Yeah,
just let him make it, man.
That's
he's so arrogant. He's this.
My bad, senior. Yeah, that's the only reason I don't correct people. And I know we got like some older, sellers like probably that listen like, oh, I would have gotten that LS1 ass if he sent me that. LS1's cool, man. LS1's cool. Plus, I need him to come teach the school. You know what I'm saying? But he's super cool. He cool, man. He about to retire. He a real good dude. Got a lot of respect for him too, man. He doing a lot outside of the Navy. That's super impressive. So
that's good stuff.
And I'm sure he just going to transition right out to that stuff. So shout out to him, LS1. I don't want to say LS1 name right now, but shout out to you. All right, So another thing that I was doing, right, and I want to talk about this. I was on TikTok, right? So somehow I scrolled past like a seller. I scrolled past a seller, and they was talking about like how she was giving like a testimony how it don't matter what you post on military TikTok, you always gonna have somebody that say something, whether it's about your uniform, your hairstyle. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that on a ship. Oh, this, that, right? That's what she was saying. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a military TikTok.
Mm.
I was like, yo, let me check that out. So I was on military TikTok. I wound up being on military TikTok for like 40 minutes to like an hour, right?
Mm.
And I'm gonna say this: my assessment on military TikTok is that military TikTok is 100 times better than military Facebook. That's my assessment. Military TikTok, because TikTok is a bunch of young, beautiful people having fun, dancing, joking,
Yeah.
saying like audio bits that other people said the way
Yeah.
that they want to say it in their expression. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Facebook is a bunch of people sharing their dumbass opinions about things that matters none to them, about people that care none about. It's kind of like a podcast.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a podcast. Like, so yeah, but military Facebook is not it, man.
Yeah,
It's not, man.
I got to go look at military TikTok now, man, because I thought we was talking about some military just a military TikToks. You know what I mean? Not an actual TikTok page. I gotta go check that out now, man.
No. It's a hashtag. It's a hashtag.
Okay.
So if you look up, like, so if you put the hashtag in military TikTok or whatever, you just gonna see a bunch of sailors,
Okay.
like who use that hashtag on their posts.
Yeah.
But they post military stuff. And it, like, man, I'm telling you, like, I felt like it's like the DDG 1000, the EMs on there. They got a page, and it's like, man, like they don't like they was like on the switchboards. They was like doing some stuff, Now
Yeah.
I don't know what we wouldn't want, what the Navy wouldn't want like outsiders to see. But they were like, it wasn't. I didn't see anything that was like, oh man, you shouldn't like somebody in sets or something like that, right? It was just people doing stuff like batteries and stuff like that and P waves. But I'm like, yo, this is funny, man, and it felt good, and it made me feel like I was on a ship. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna go back to something that Mick Pond said in his speech. When he went to talk to the crew, he was talking about it not being water on the ship, and him walking past a high-ranking officer. I want to say a commander or department. I forgot what it was, but the officer had a towel around his shoulder or whatever like that. And he was like, well, what you doing? And the officer was like, man, I had to go from, over my side of the ship to over here because it ain't no damn water on my side of the ship, right? And he was like using that as like a nostalgic moment that like he'll remember. It was funny. It was lighthearted, stuff like that. And I can't lie, man, like watching the military TikToks and stuff, they put me in that mode, man. To me, it's not too many feelings better than my greatest feelings of camaraderie on a ship underway.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
I agree with that,
to
man.
Me,
I agree with, especially when it comes to, the day in, day out type stuff, man. Day in, day out type stuff, man. You'd be surprised on the things that people come up with, the things that we're doing on a daily basis, and the things that being in those meetings thinking like, what in the hell we doing right now, man? Like, all that stuff, man. What am I? The things that I have done on a ship that I'll probably never do again in my life, man. Like, and I'm always thinking like, why am I doing this again? What the hell is this shit? But yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, man. And like, it was it was a COVID, deployment and stuff like that. So that side of things was different. But like, for instance, remember we had like, you were still here for this. We had like a string of like Charlie Fires and combat system spaces.
Yeah.
And like one of the departments was at fault for this. I'm not gonna say who it was with combat. Hey, combat, like I love y'all, man. I done threw y'all out twice, man. And I know somebody from combat gonna kill me. I know ET, I already know who gonna hit me up. Like, hey, see you got one more thing to say about combat. And I'm gonna get at your ass, right? But look, so we had a string of Charlie Fires, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it starting like, right, EM2. he for some reason was like always like the fastest person like on the scene, man. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But like I can't lie, man. Like some of my favorite moments was like getting to the scene and like EM1 being like, yo, Chief, like back up, like get away, like we got this, like this, and then we'd be joking about it, O would be like, yo, I'm the fastest, boom, boom, boom. Like me and O, like for instance, like me and O racing to see who could open up the who could open up the power pedals faster, and I let O win, I let
Couple of
him
them.
win,
Win a
man, I
couple of
let
them.
him
Yeah.
win. It was one, man. It was one, but O should have speed. He should have speed. He's a young guy. You know what I
Little
mean?
young buck.
I definitely didn't let him win. He got that one fair and square. You know what I mean? But it's probably because I was too busy listening to him. But we was, we like, like open up, like it's so much fun, like so much fun on the ship, man.
Yeah.
Even like fun on the mess and stuff like that, and just military TikTok. And I feel like I wanted to take a second to do that, to kind of just talk about what I do love about this. You know what I mean? That camaraderie, talking, laughing, joking, that shit, man. I work with civilians now, and I really like a lot of the civilians. It's just not a lot of moments like that. You go to work and you working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to work, you go in your cubicle, you go in your office, and you do work. In the Navy, we could be doing like unrep, for instance, and a great moment could come out of that. You know what I mean? Like a super fun, we playing music. Somebody got the bad music playing, somebody got the music they want people to hear playing or whatever. And it was just like, I say all that to say like military TikTok gave me those feelings again. Like, yo, I'm on the ship. You got to find the right, videos. Now let's talk military Facebook. I know you're a little bit familiar with military Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And we saw military Facebook in high gear this week that just passed,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah, military Facebook is not my favorite place.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite place.
Yeah, I mean, because it ain't really talking about too much, man. Like, really, like, I mean, you got some bits and pieces here and there, but most of the time, military Facebook is they trying to be educational on some shit but nah. And then when they do try to be funny about something, man, just sometimes it just don't hit the mark, man. I need you guys to step your military Facebook game up, man.
Yeah, and it's a lot of good stuff. So I don't want to take away the good stuff. Like we just talked to Ask the Chiefs last week. Yeah. It's a lot of good pages. It's a lot of good pages.
We on there.
Private,
so you know what I'm saying? Public. It's a little bright spot, man. We on there, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of good pages. But it's just that when people get to these debates, man, on social media, period, that stuff be just, kind of turning me off. So, but that leads me to my question though. Do you think that we seeing a generational gap? We did an episode about dinosaurs before, but this is a kind of like a part 2 to that conversation. You think it's a generational gap that's like bigger than like more noteworthy than before?
I'm gonna say no. In my opinion, I really think it is, but I'm gonna say no just for what I'm thinking right now, man. And what I'm thinking right now is I'm one of those guys that I think that's bridging the gap between the old Navy and the new Navy, right? And I'm saying that because my mindset is sometimes be like, I don't care. We about to get this done this way right now. Boom, 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 right? But now I'm that guy that's starting to change a little bit and adapt to it a little bit. Be like, you know what? Those guys may have a better idea on how to do this. So I feel like I'm one of the guys that is that bridge between it a little bit. You know what I mean? Right in that little range. But at the same time, I want to say yes, because sometimes I'm way off, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm way out of tune on some of the things that's going on too, though. So, but trust and believe this generation has no problem with informing me on how far off I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't know, man. What you think?
It's crazy, man. As progressive that I think I am, it's been a lot of times that like I'll be talking to sailors, right? And a lot of times I'm listening, right? But they'll tell me something, such and such, boom, boom, senior. And I'm like, that's a problem. You know, sometimes I might ask that question, like, damn, y'all like, that upsets you for real? Like, that's an issue? And they like, yeah, senior, it is, and I'm like, damn, like, and that used to happen to me like every day, damn near, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just different, it's just different thoughts. It's just a lot of different thoughts. Like, dude, I used to walk so many places, right? So I had was my license suspended? I forgot. Like, but I had a vehicle, but I couldn't drive it. I forgot why, right? And I'm not lying. I really forgot why. Like, I don't remember why I couldn't drive it. I remember getting a ticket in Florida, and then I remember buying a car. I didn't have insurance or something like that, right? I know I didn't have insurance, but I used to like walk and take like public transportation, like just almost everywhere, right? So like my time, like my trips would be like it's in Norfolk too, so it's like a 3-hour trip. You know what I mean? Like, and I had a roommate who had a car, and I remember one day like just being so pissed, because it was like raining. I had to take like 2 buses, and one of my friends called me like, "Where you at, man? Like, we trying to go out later." I'm like, "Yo, I'm on such and such bus, about to get off at such and such station." He says, "It's raining outside. What you going to do?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I got a transfer." He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna come get you." I get home, and my boy, because and that's going from Norfolk to Virginia Beach. My roommate, who was my friend, he's like, "Hey, man, like, how come? Like, why are you getting home so late?" I was like, "Dude, I had to walk, boom, 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 boom." And he was like, "Why you ain't just like ask me for a ride?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Yeah, you right." You know what I'm saying? And our thought process was different, because my thought process is, if I have a car and we roommates, I'm probably just gonna offer it, right? And that's my thought process. But his thought process is not wrong either. You know what I mean? Like, his thought process was not wrong.
Yeah.
But like, all I'm saying is, like, in saying that, it's like I used to go through that a lot, like a lot of walking, man. Like, I don't know too many people that's trying to go through all that. Like what I used to have to deal with, like, as a young sailor. So I sit here and I listen to like sailors, and they like, talk about like their plight as like young sailors. And some of it, I know I don't really understand it, but I'm able to listen to it. And I know I can't assess it. Like, I can't like minimize it or say it's not like plight. You know what I mean? Because it's a different plight. Like, we not in from the same generation. And it's on par with the same plights as somebody of their age group that's not in the military or whatever. Like we talked a while ago about like the $25,000 bonus, and we talked about like that is a tool to get people in.
Yeah.
Like it's. I just read an article, and I hate like citing things, but I just saw an article that said like we need people. Like, the military, period, needs people. So that's like, a bridge from what we were talking about. So I do think that it's some of these topics we have are kind of heavy, but I do think that is a generational gap, man. I think it's a generational gap, and I think it's big. I think it's big. I think we still got people in now that's been in for 28 years, something like 30 years, and they have a way that they see the world, and a way that they see the Navy.
Yeah.
Right. And a part of the way they see the Navy is bridged off of the way that they see the world and the way that they saw the world when they entered into the Navy, and the way that they were introduced to the customs of whatever the Navy looked like then. Then we got another generation that sees the world a completely different way.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's some people that's in their 20s that probably never looked at an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Because you got Google.
You're right, man.
You know what I mean?
That's
You got
crazy.
Google. You really don't need an encyclopedia.
Right? That's crazy you bring that up, man. Like, I don't even remember, like, did every house I used to walk to back in Mississippi
had
encyclopedias in it. Like, everything had encyclopedias in it.
Yeah, whether you open it up or not. You know what I mean? Like, we had the encyclopedias at my grandma's house, and then we also had the National Geographic books that had the animals, right? So we had the encyclopedias and we had the book on the animals. If we had to go research something, we had to find it in the encyclopedia. That was, now think about it. Like, when we thinking about today's like person, not just sailor, right? But think about a 15-year-old back then who has a question, right? They got a question. They can't like they can't just easily access this answer, right? So like you got a thought in your head. Let's say you think about something in school or you got a project, whatever. You got to catch the bus or get on the school bus, whatever you're doing, get home, go and like for the alphabet of whatever you're looking up, go find it in a damn encyclopedia, mark it, look it up, most likely write it down because you ain't about to mess up the encyclopedia. You ain't about to
Highlight shit in there.
highlight no encyclopedia. We never messed up the encyclopedia, but you have your answer probably 4 to 5 hours after you had your question.
Yeah.
That was work. That's taxing. You know what I mean? That like where we might not have thought that back then, like that's the generation like that we can. So I was the end of that generation, right? But we might not have thought that, but that's taxing. You got to wait. That takes time. That takes a lot of shit. Whereas today's 15-year-old, if they have a question, they could literally Google the answer.
Yeah.
And that's it. It ain't no work. It ain't no more work. They ain't got to find the page. They ain't got to find a letter. They ain't got to write nothing down. They could literally Google it. And now if they want, they could like just copy it and paste it somewhere else that they want to take it to.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. You're right, man. I remember the encyclopedia. I remember getting my first phone, man. And the only thing you was doing is freaking calling. You know what I mean? It was just making a phone call. You wasn't texting. You wasn't doing all that old stuff we could do with a phone now. So yeah, you're right, man. That's crazy to even think about, man. I remember if you didn't have the encyclopedia at home, you had to get it out of that textbook. If that textbook didn't have it, you didn't have it, man. But right. I do say this though. I feel like all homes back in the day though, you had a freaking thing encyclopedias, man. Seems like everybody had some encyclopedias. So
remember rotary phones? Rotary phones?
Yeah. I bet kids don't even know what rotary phones are right now, man.
Not just adults. It's adults in this world now that don't know what rotary phones are.
Man. That's crazy.
So, and think about a rotary phone. Yeah. Now you pick up a phone, right? You pick up a phone, right? You put this horn to your ear and you have to hear a dial tone.
Yeah.
Right? Before you start dialing, you got to hear, if you don't hear a dial tone, you got to push something in and like till you hear it. And then you put your finger in a circle and then you spin that thing.
On that number,
you put your finger at the number you want, and then you spin it, and then you go again, and then you go again. And I think at some point numbers were like only 7 digits, like if you lived in the city, you ain't had to go all 10. I remember that, but and my grandma used to have a rotary phone. But like that's work. That takes time. That's damn near like 2 minutes, like a minute to 2 minutes before your phone call is even like processed, bro. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm thinking about like, and that's why I'm thinking like it's kind of hard to compare patience, time, even like things like resilience, because it's different. It takes a whole lot of damn resilience to have a question, and it's got to take you 4 hours to find it because you got to get home and and that's me speaking about resilience and jest. But that takes a lot of time and patience and thought. Where somebody else, they got these answers at the palm of their hands, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I know this is a topic that like people might think is kind of like stupid, but remember how hard it used to be as a young child to like adult movies, right? You know what kind of movies I'm talking about, like adult movies. You could look them up on your phone. These kids could look these up on their phone. Back in the day, they had to get purchased, hidden somewhere, probably watched on mute.
Yep.
You got to put them back. Like maybe they was like in your uncle's like drawer or something. You got to put it back exactly how you found it. Like you got to sneak nobody home. Like kids could literally like look this stuff up. It's on Twitter.
Yeah. Easy.
You know what I mean? So
easy access.
But so I do think it's a generation gap, and I don't know if I don't know what middle ground is. I don't know what middle ground looks like yet.
Yeah.
But the craziest thing is the younger seller that's the 21-year-old seller today is going to be 35 in 14 years. And it's going to be a generational gap again. It's going to be a 21-year-old that looks at life extremely different than they, did.
Yeah.
That grew up with like VR, that grew up in like a VR world.
That VR world,
you know what I mean?
VR shit is already getting crazy, man. So yeah.
Yeah, man. You got people like instituting like safe zones in VR. Like, yo, you can't come near me type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that stuff is crazy, man. Easy thought, right? Beards on shore duty, right? I saw a little op-ed or a little article about like somebody saying like, and I know we talked about beards. That was like one of our first topics we ever
Yeah.
talked about. Probably the first topic we ever talked about, period, was beards.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on about beards on shore duty?
On the top of my head, why not? Because
Right?
and I'm saying it, why not? And I'm saying it because of the fact of one of the biggest reasons why we don't have them on sea duty. The first thing, which is I don't know. I mean, I did see a write up about it, so I didn't say it's not true, but I did see about the seals on your mask and all this type of stuff. Guess what? You ain't worried about that shit on shore duty. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that's not the reason why you can't do it. And what else? It's just another initiative. It's another one of those things too. It could be, man, people. Um, you will have to have some type of course, trim and all that type of stuff. You don't want to be like a wild man and then like that wild person. But I don't see nothing wrong with it, man. I really like I'm
Yeah.
seeing these guys now, and I don't grow, and I don't, I ain't had no issues with a beards and having to grow it and have problems with the stuff to have a beard. But these guys look a whole lot cleaner, man.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they
for
looking
sure.
they looking a
100%.
whole lot cleaner, man. When you walk with them beards and it's wild and everything is like growing out and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah. But now, man, these guys are looking clean, man. So I don't see an issue with it, man. That's my opinion, man.
100%. It's so I do want to say I did find the article I was talking about. It says sluggish military recruiting worries Congress. Lawmakers on Wednesday voiced serious concerns that recent military recruiting difficulties may be an omen of sizable personnel shortfalls in coming years unless Defense Department leaders can make major changes. And that brings me back to my question again that I asked that I'm really not looking for an answer for, but what does the military look like? Namely the Navy, because that's where we are in 20 years. What does it look like?
Yeah,
What is it? What does it look like? Um, but beers on shore duty, I'm with you. Like, why not? Why not, man? And it's crazy. Like this again, I never even thought about it. Like that's something like I don't even know if people ever even really thought about. We know why we can't do it on sea duty, but why
yeah.
not shore duty?
Why not?
Let's do it. I was gonna talk about harp duty because the new nav admin came out. But I'm not gonna talk about harp duty. Um, I will talk about this one thing here. What's a weakness of yours, right? Um, that's hard to change. That you have a hard time changing.
Um, Navy related. I'm gonna say Navy
Work
related. I'm
rel-
saying work related. Okay. One of the things that I think is gonna be hard to change, man, is like um staying at work because somebody else staying at work.
Oh,
You know
you
what I
do
mean?
that.
It's like my work,
You like compete. You
not
competing
competing,
about
not
like leaving
competing.
late.
My boss, say my boss is
Uh
at
huh.
work, right? He's working, boom, boom. I'm going to be at work also just because they're there. Like, say for example, you could be a department head or you could be somebody else, and the CO and XO still at work, right? You may
Yeah.
stay there just because your work could be done. What you plan on doing that day can be done, but I'm still here because my boss is here. You know what I mean? I think,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the time it's one of those weaknesses for me when I'm on a ship, though. Mostly, you know what I mean. Sometimes like, okay, whoever I'm in charge of me or whatever, I'm like, okay, man, they still here. Shit, I'm gonna be chilling too. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna find something else to do just because my chief engineer may be still here or whatever the case may be. But I feel like that's kind of hard for people too, though. Even my junior sailors might be like that. I don't know or not, but maybe the DC one be like, man, senior's still here. Shit, I might want to be here. And I think it's kind of one of my weaknesses when it comes to Navy and working anyway.
Yeah, I think what the one I'm gonna talk about right now is I think taking too much into consideration too many times. Like hearing out. I was just talking to somebody about it. Well, like everybody know now, but I was because we talked to him in the episode. But I was talking to GSE one the other day. We were talking about something that had to do with the urinalysis program and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was just talking about like leadership and like kind of knowing when like case by case basis might not be the best approach, right? And I'll be having a hard time with that, right? Like just knowing when to just draw the line. Because draw the line means that, like, to me, draw the line means, and somebody could definitely like correct me when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. But to me, draw the line means like, this is it. This is how it is. I don't care about this case or this case. This is how it is, right? So more defined. Somebody told me a story about this captain who, like, he was like, yo, if you late, this is your consequence, right? And he held everybody to that, right? It didn't matter what their story was. They could have had a legitimate story, they could have had a bad story, but he held them to that same thing. And it was because it was a whole lot of latenesses. And then eventually what happened was it wasn't no more latenesses at all. Like nobody was late, because he held everybody to that same standard or whatever. So I think for me, I give a lot of consideration to. So our thing was about like the drug program, and like if a seller pop positive and they mistakenly like ingested like drugs or whatever like that. And we were talking about like, because you can do that now, and then like on a case by case basis, you don't have to get kicked out. It's not like how it was, where like if you took a drug, it's like no questions asked, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like people can ask certain questions and they can figure out it was a mistake, But I was just talking about like one of the hardest parts about like being a leader is knowing when like to say like, all right, some of y'all not gonna like this. Some of y'all gonna get fucked by this decision that I make, but I have to make it and I gotta stick with it. Well, but senior, I gotta do this or I gotta do that. It's like, damn.
Yeah, that's hard. That is hard, man.
Yeah, because it's like people going, like for instance, I remember being in first class and I had said something like to my division. I'm like, all of us gotta, and I hope somebody that like I was with when I first made first kind of like helps me with this. But I was like, yo, all of us gotta do this except for her because she's in college, right? And I got so much backlash for that, right? They like, you're giving her favoritism. Now, mind you, she was in school for the same, she was in the same school as me for the same thing as me, right? Right. But it was like, you giving her favoritism because she in college and y'all both into film and all of this. And I'm like, no, but she's in college. So she literally can't like, be able to do this because I know she has a class and I know she got an assignment due, and then that's when like people started coming out the woodwork with the shit that they had to do. Well, my dog, got like a crazy diet schedule. So it's like, damn, man. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna take on your dog. All right, I got you, your dog, boom, boom, boom. So then the next person, like, well, I'm supposed to be getting like a mattress delivered, at boom, boom, boom time. So at the end of the day, now it's just me and like two people with all the tools, like, yo. And they like, well, I ain't had nothing either. I'm like, well, such and such had the dog, such and such had the mattress, such and such had the school, such and such they like to only eat dinner at such and such time, such and such had to go to church on such and such day. So here we are. You know what I mean? So like I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses. Yeah. That
it's hard too, though, man. It's hard to draw the line. Like especially when it comes to disciplining people. Like anytime we come to discipline, it's hard to draw that line because you can have this shit hot sailor. He show up late. You can have this dirt bag show up late, man. It could be different. It's a different vibe, man. But it's how far you take it. And I mean, you want to speak and say the same language, but it's not the same.
Yo, so it's crazy because like the weirdest thing, right, with me is it don't even matter the difference in the sellers. Like, I'm gonna listen to whatever story they got.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody has a story. I want sellers to know this shit, man. Or just people to know this. Everybody got a damn story. Everybody got a reason for everything. You know what I mean? Like everybody has a reason, right? So it's like, and I start listening to the reason, and it's all like, senior, man. I come from a single family household. And, and I'm like, yo, I do too. They start tugging at my heartstrings. I'm just having some issues at home. And, I had way too much to drink and I didn't want to come to work. And you guys see me like that because I got so much respect for you, senior. And I'm like, man, yeah, you're right. It was a good decision for you to come 4 hours late. That probably was the best thing. Hey, as a matter of fact, just get with the LPO and let's kind of figure out wow, we won't do this again. And I'm going to just ball up this counseling shit, man. But the next time you come late, I don't care what the excuse is.
What happened?
And then they come late again. Senior, man, the car, so my wife put me out and I had to take her car. It's like, the story I told you the last time I was late, it got worse. It's like, fuck, man. You know what I'm saying? So I do have a hard time with that, like drawing a line in that regard.
Yeah, man.
All right. All right. So I just got, like I said, I got my midterm recently, right?
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of talking to people I respect and people I, got an admiration for, right? So I got a question. I'm going to ask the question, then I'm going to get a backfill on it. My question is this. If we can't choose our tours, right? And that's to an extent, because some people can and stuff like that. Why do they hold so much weight on our advancement, right? So I wanted to ask this question like with a guest or whatever. But I say all that to say that like, am I talking and getting like mentorship and guidance? I'm at that point where I'm at like a crossroad where I'm kind of being told like, yo, it's time for you to make a choice on what you want to do, right? Because we got to tailor your evaluations. We got to tailor like your career now to like where you want to go, right? So if you want to go like Command SEL, we need to start focusing on what a eval for that will look like. If you want to go warrant, we need to start writing your eval to what like a warrant will look like, whatever, right? If you want to go CCS full time, if you want to go 3MC, whatever. But it's also like this. It don't matter how well you do here, right? An ADCO tour is not going to get you like no skin in the game for Master Chief. That kind of thought process, right? And I've been told that before and I kind of dismissed it. Like, man, I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to get what I feel like my work deserved me to get, right? So I do always feel like that. But then I also think like this, why the hell would ADCO even be available for me if it's going to hurt my chances to become a Master Chief? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why is it even like, why am I doing this then? Like if this, like, if I've been doing like, if in my career, I've been accomplishing things and like successfully maneuvering through the Navy, why is this roadblock then inserted? That's just like, now I got no hope. Like, yo, you probably won't ever be a Master Chief because you was an ADCO. You know what I mean? You might have to do, you're going to have to go back and do another. It don't matter if you number one here. It don't matter if you number one here. You can run a season. You could be chief master president. You can do whatever you want to do here on shore. And I remember being told this as a first class coming off shore duty. And I was coming off a number one EP. And I don't like talk about the EPs and stuff that much. But I was coming off a number one EP. And I was up for chief. And a senior chief that I love and respect, he was like, and I think we talked about it, but he was like, yo, you're not going to get selected as a chief coming off a number one EP on shore duty, like at the Naval Academy. Like, you're not going to get selected as a chief. Like, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why not? Like, you know what I mean? And
did you make?
I didn't get selected. No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
The next year I got picked up coming off just a regular. I think it was still an EP, but I got picked up coming off just a regular eval EP, TAD on a whole bunch of ships, stuff like that. Then I got picked up, but why do we? I don't know, man. I'm looking for like one of the OGs to give me some insight on that one. Man.
Yeah, well, what I've been hearing like more and more is like it doesn't hold as much weight on where you go, man. I'm hearing more of is what you do when you're there, and maybe that's more towards sea duty than shore duty. I'm assuming it also depends on shore duty. I mean, you hand out basketball somewhere. I'm assuming it might have a little bit of effect on it, but you could be doing other things too, though. But I remember though back when they used to say all the time, man, you need to take these challenging after challenge, build it, and it's gonna help you get where you need to go. But I'm hearing more and more, man. Now it's about, of course, your career path and the ladder and all that stuff. But at the same time, though, it's what you do when you at whatever command you at. You know what I mean? I think
that should be it.
Yeah.
Like what you do at the command you at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I'm in a pool with a bunch of top snipes,
Yeah.
only 8 people got selected for Master Chief EMs, right?
Yeah.
And this just me kind of talking. I'm not really chasing that right now, right?
Yeah.
But only 8 people got selected for Master Chief EMs. If 6 of these people are top snipes, I mean, like, and I don't have the ability to be a top snipe on shore duty.
Yeah.
Like,
but my other question to you,
my
other question to you about the EM thing though, man, being a top snipe. What ships are you billeted to be a top snipe on?
EMs?
Yeah.
None.
None. That's me either. You know what I mean? But that's in my freaking ladder, and I don't even freaking know why.
Yeah, it's
you
in
know
my
what I mean?
ladder
It's in my
too.
ladder to be one, but it's not it. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the type of stuff I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why is it in the ladder?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
agree.
to become a top snipe, you gotta like the top snipe gotta leave, get fired, something gotta happen, and then like they like, all right, well, you be the top snipe. You know what I'm saying? I know a couple people that's been top snipe now for reasons like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, you know, why is it in the ladder? Like, I don't know, man. And maybe somebody with like more, and I'm hoping that they do, somebody with more experience and stuff could kind of give me some insight and thought, you know, on that, who got experience with like creating the ladders and like these kind of things. Cause I don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, like why would we put, it's discouraging too to like somebody that's like doing their best, in my opinion, in my thought process. It's discouraging to somebody that's doing their best to know like, all right, it's a ceiling. This is a ceiling because a detailer put me in this job. Or whatever. And I'm not blaming the detailer. I'm just saying that like I didn't put myself here to be like to have to deal with this ceiling. You know, could you go back to back C and lose your family? That's you know, that's like a joke, you know, that's like a joke, but it's like, yo, that's what some people be like. That's like literally what some people be like leveraging.
Yeah, man, for real. For real.
Like, yo, we got back to back C for you. You know, what's gonna happen if I go back to back C? Oh, nothing much, man. You probably gonna lose a whole bunch of hair, your wife, your kids, your boat, this and that. Or you could go to shore duty, you know. What I'm gonna lose there? Oh, you're gonna lose like 45 pounds. You're gonna lose a lot of stress. You're gonna gain some new friends, and you're gonna learn how to make like a good barbecue kind of meal or whatever like that. Which one do you want? You know what I mean? Now, back to back seat is not a bad thing. Like a lot of people, but it's like, damn, that's really what you got to do to like
advance,
move as fast as your work. Because some people just good ass workers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now you got to be that good ass worker on like burnout time, you know, or whatever like that, which is crazy to me. But I mean, that's just me and my thoughts, man. I hope I get some engagement on that one.
Yeah, most definitely.
I would talk about the CEO and his EXO from LCS Montgomery getting fired or whatever, but I don't want to. Yeah. Not because I don't. Like, not because I want to run away from that topic, but I mean, it's not like a rare occurrence.
Nope.
You know, and that's not like because of COXO thing, but it's just not a rare occurrence for like somebody to be like doing something wrong, everybody to know it's a little bit wrong, not to really say nothing about it. It goes unnoticed until one person says something, and then a whole bunch of people like, oh yeah, he was kind of like that. Yeah, he was a little bit messed up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Most definitely not rare, man. But I tell you this, guys, I like if you are one of those people, man, you know, enlisted or an officer or wherever you at, man. I got this old saying back in the day, man. They used to say, whatever's in the dark will eventually come to the light, man. You can only hide stuff for so long, man. It's that one person, that you didn't say something to way back before, and they find out. You know, it don't matter what it is, man. If it comes up, you know, stand by, man. Like you got to know. And then on top of that, on what they got fired for, you know what I mean? You can't hide nothing like that, man. You got to take action. And it's so much easier for a person in that position to take action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so much easier, man. You ain't the friend, you ain't the homie, you ain't the girlfriend, you ain't nothing. It's just you hear this, take the appropriate actions. It's all
Yeah,
to it, man. It's that easy.
just do it.
Yep.
Just do it, man. Just do it. Before we talk about a movie, I want to give a shout out to all the military children. It's a lot that they got to endure and go through. We went to a retirement ceremony. We heard that firsthand. What a lot of these sellers' children have to go through for like their whole life. You know what I mean? Like if you have a kid the year you join, your kid's like 20, when you get out, if you get out at 20. If you already have a kid, your kid's older than that. You know what I mean? So um, it's a lot that these kids, that these military children got to go through.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna talk about my book real quick, right? This book I read is called Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear, right? We back to normal framed episode, right? Book, hero. We got the review, you know what I'm saying? But Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear. And it's about creative living. It's about creating without uh a goal, without a destination, without fear, without any thoughts about anything you want out of creating, except for just the pure satisfaction of creating something. That's what it's about. Um, good book, and it was definitely a book that I needed at the time that I read it.
Yeah.
For like the chapter that I'm in my life and some stuff that I got going on, even outside of the podcast. Um, Even with the podcast. You know what I mean? Because I mean, for like a podcast like this, um, outside of knowing that you helping people and stuff like that, um, we gotta pull things. We gotta get creative sometime. We gotta get tricky sometime. We gotta figure out things to talk about. Figure out creative ways to have those discussions and stuff like that. And then it's task driven, right? You edit, you edit video, you edit sound, you try to make it sound good, look good, and stuff like that. And it's free.
Yeah.
Is on streaming platforms, and people can listen to it for free. As you continue to invest, we get better lights, we get better mics, we get better stuff like that. We might sell a t-shirt or two every now and then, right? We got a t-shirt right now and up. But outside of that, it's free. It's a free thing. You just hope your return is inspiration, thought, and stuff like that, right? So this book keeps the creator in that like kind of seat as just a creator, like create. I think the biggest thing that I took from it, like the part that stood out to me the most, had to do with stories. And well, not even stories, but she's an author, right? She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, right? The author of this book, what's her name? Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like about ideas, right? So she was talking about like having an idea for a book and then like starting it and then like drifting away from this idea, going and doing something else. And then like meeting some other author. And then like, so she came back to this idea and she tried to like write the book or whatever. And it wasn't like, she lost the story. She lost the idea. It was gone, right? The idea was gone, right? So she talked about ideas like they're like these things that come and go. And she said she ran into like this other lady that she met, like a friend, another author. And like the lady said she had a book idea. And when she asked the lady what was the book idea, right? They had never talked before. Lady didn't know her. It was pretty much the same exact idea to the letter with a couple different changes as the one she had and lost. So she actually looked at it like that was the same idea. Like the idea is like this thing, this magical thing that kind of goes from like one place to like another place. And I've seen things I thought of creatively like later in life, other places. Like, damn, like I thought of that, but it's like I didn't do anything with it. So the idea eventually left and went to somebody else who at that time was going to do something with it or whatever like that. So I think it's a good book, especially for somebody that's creative. It's super inspirational. And it's just telling you like what you get out of it is creating.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to ever be famous. You don't got to ever be, rich. You'll never got to be notable for it. You just create it. You did it because you wanted to do it. You know what I mean? The last thing was this dude, he wrote a letter to like his favorite like director and was like, hey, I'm writing this stuff and nobody likes it. I'm not getting no return from it, whatever. And then the director was like, well, stop.
I mean,
Stop writing then. Stop doing it. He was like, now look though, if you stop and in 4 more years or a couple more months or whatever, you get this overwhelming urge to do it again, then do it. That means you love it. Then it don't matter it don't matter who doing it or whatever like that. You're doing this out of pure creativity for yourself.
like
So that was a good story, a good book. Real good. What was the name of it? It was Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. And like y'all know, I do audiobooks. So it was narrated by the author, which is my favorite type of audiobook.
Yeah, man.
Right?
It's good stuff, man. Good book. Sounds like a good book.
So here we are. We are at the end of an era for Permission to Speak Freely podcast, right? I think throughout all of 2022, we've been reviewing one show, right? And Band of Brothers, right? We took weeks off. It's different things, stuff like that. I actually watched this show the week we were supposed to review.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to start out first, man. I got to give a couple shout outs. My first shout out is to everybody that watches the YouTube, the reviews, especially the people that might listen to the podcast and still watch the review. My other shout out is to Molly Dangerous, right? It's either Molly Dangerous or Molly Dangerous. I want to say Molly. Hey, shout out to you. I honestly think you just skip the whole episode on YouTube and go straight to the Band of Brothers review. And then you hit us with a lot of good information. Like, for instance, Molly Dangerous told us that last episode, the Why We Fight episode, that those were actual like cancer patients that played the people that were locked in the camps. Those were people who actually had cancer and like late. I think somebody else added that they were in like close to terminal phases or whatever. So that wasn't really makeup. That wasn't much of that. That was like actual people that were actually like, sick and stuff like that. But Molly Dangerous been with us this whole ride, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, David, like, I really wanted to like invite Molly Dangerous like to the podcast for our last review, but I didn't know if he or she wanted to to do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you did, let us know, because when we do our segment on either Generation Kill or the Pacific, when we decide to watch those, we want to bring you on. Like, I think you'd be a great addition to this if you want to do it. So definitely big shout out. I wanted to take a long moment to shout out Molly Dangerous too, because they've been with us every step of the way. So episode 10, right? Episode 10. What's the name of this episode? You know? Points?
Yes. Points. That's the name of it. Points.
Right?
Yep.
Episode 10 points, right? Yep. It's funny because I got it there because that's where I write all my names, but then I also had points from the episode, so I ain't remember points or points. So Band of Brothers, shout out Molly Dangerous, episode 10 points. What was your take?
Well, my take was the war is over, man. It ended kind of like I thought, how it you saw that kind of the build up from Why We Fight to this one is kind of the build up that it was going to be over, that everything gonna be a little bit more relaxed in the setting anyway on the things they was doing, but they was about to go back, and then all of a sudden it kind of like ended. It was over. Everything was good, right? Still seemed like mental health. You see in the last episode, mental health still played a part in the show. But one of my biggest moments of this one, man, was when Winters, he talked to his previous, I think it was a captain, in the first episode. I know you may know his name, but I don't remember his name. But when he said, "You salute the rank, not the man." Sober, man. Hey, that was powerful, man, because he tried to look off And I like how Winters didn't let him get away, man. Nah, you ain't getting away with
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I kind of
Like Angeline just said that to me today.
yeah,
She salute the rank, not the man. When I told her about that captain, that I forgot to salute.
Yeah, man. Hey.
She's like, salute the rank, not the man. And I did pop tall and wound up saluting him later.
And the other thing was, man, the ending. The ending was so powerful when I found out who was who. You know what I mean? So if you guys know what I'm talking about, the characters, they showed the like who Winters was, and they showed all these characters and who they was in real life. And I think that was pretty powerful because these guys was talking in the beginning of every episode. We just didn't know who they was. So now we kind of put a face to some of these characters that we've been looking for, you know, all of 22. So that was a big deal, man. The the just the movie itself, man. And I don't know if we want to talk about the big review or whatever, the whole show itself, but I want to say this, man.
No, let's hold off on it. Maybe Molly. Maybe we could get Molly with us.
Yeah, we can get Molly with us and talk about the whole.
And even if not, we're gonna talk about it. Even if we can't, we still gonna talk about it.
But there was an ending, man. It wasn't no bloodshed. It wasn't nothing crazy. It was an ending to a great show, and they did a great job at ending it, man. So I like it, man. It was good.
Yeah, and that's par for the course to me for HBO, right? If you look at The Wire, the first season of The Wire, like episode 9 is the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like 7, 8, 9, but 9 is the episode, and then 10 is the aftermath of 9 and how we setting up for next season. If you look at Game of Thrones, most of the Game of Thrones seasons, episode 9 is the episode, and 10 is, you know, the just finality of everything. So HBO normally does that. Like, episode 9 is normally the one, you know, and then that next one is just let's close this out. And that's what I felt like from Band of Brothers. Like it was like, let's close this out. I mean, I was hoping for like a standoff or something like that. I was thinking it was gonna be something, but it wasn't. They just like let's close out our character, because HBO is very good at character development. Like, so it's like, yo, let's close out our characters. We want you to see where they're going. So we got to see it in the show where they were going, and then even after the show, like you said, and like the tail of the tape, I call it, but we got to see where everybody life kind of went, you know, after. And it was humbling. A lot of these guys like pretty much lived like normal lives after. After this crazy experience, right? So let me run through some of my thoughts here. My first thought was I was missing a doc in the beginning, man. Like, you know, because I fast forward through the intro, and I'm like, oh man, like I was like, did it start with the doc, then go to the intro? Or did it start with the intro music and then go to the doc? I was like, I forgot, but I didn't see the doc. I'm like, yo, so I went backwards again. I'm like, yo, where's the doc? But it wasn't a doc, because at the end, and when I say doc, I'm talking about the documentary style kind of like video in the beginning where you see the older guys. I knew who Winters was. I knew who Winters was. I knew that I knew who Winters was. I was right about who Winters was too. I looked at the runtime, right? So that's another thing that what like shows of this kind of magnitude sometime, right? And it's just me being who I am as like a cinema kind of person, right? I looked at the runtime, and when I saw that it was the normal hour that it normally is, I was like, all right, they're gonna get right to it. They're gonna do what they gotta do. This is it. It ain't like an hour and 20, it ain't an hour and 10, it ain't an hour and 30. It's a regular hour. Like, we just gonna get to this, we're gonna get it done, we're gonna get it out of here. A lot of times shows try to give you that extra long, you know, finale or whatever like that. This one didn't do that. 1945, Zell am See Austria or whatever, right? The war is all but over, right? Same thing like you thought. It's all but over. And then they thinking about, like, I don't know about you, but like them talking about what was next after the war, like really affected me. Like you got these guys that all we knew about these guys from day one was war, you know? And then they just chilling and like at a lake, like, yo, like come work for me. You know what I'm saying? Like they already kind of focus on like, what's next? What's next? You know, Easy Company still has some work to do. They had to take the Eagle's Nest. We saw the German army surrender, you know, and what the dude say? Like something like, you know, what's life for like guys like us if it wasn't war? You know what I mean? Like one of the German dudes when he tried to turn over his handgun. Winter's like, no, keep that, man. You know? So the big thing about this episode was you needed 85 points to be discharged. Right? You needed 85 points to be. That was the big thing. Like people didn't have points. You had to get points. I don't want to give too much about that aspect of the episode for anybody that's watching it.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of like where the last bit of suspense in the show was who could, get discharged. The Shifty story, right? So Shifty was able to go. He had enough points. He was able to go. On the road on his way out, he got hit by a vehicle. Right? On the road on his way out, he got hit by a vehicle, which was ironic. It was kind of funny to me, but it was also sad too. It's like, damn, he went through all this.
Yeah, that was sad, man.
He went through all this, made it out, and then on the way damn home, you get hit by a vehicle or whatever like that. And I think he had to hang around for like another 2 months or something like that. Tom Hardy died. Our boy, man, Tom Hardy passed, man. Tom Hardy passed. I wrote whooping dude ass on here. Yeah. Yo, they was whooping his ass, man. So that it was almost like this.
That
was
the mental health part of it I was talking about. Yeah.
What I felt was that they got crazy when it wasn't an enemy to fight.
Yeah.
It ain't no enemy to fight no more. We so used to this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Dude's tripping like he drunk. He said mental health. Dude was drunk though.
Yeah.
He was drunk.
Yeah.
He shot a dude. Yo, they poured him in there like Lord of the Flies style. Like, yo, we gonna judge ourselves. Now. We just gonna whoop your ass. And then old boy came in and was about to kill him. It seemed like he was gonna kill him, but then he chilled out. And I think that was a good thing to happen. Was like we didn't lose all of our humanity here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that was like kind of like what that was, to symbolize for me. That's what I took from that. Like, because it was like,
close though.
Like,
I thought that was gonna be like we was gonna most definitely be talking about that if he would have pulled that trigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that got to be a lot of frustration where it's like, yo, like we finish all of this, but yo, if you don't got a certain amount of points, you can't go home.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
And then just me knowing the history, I think all of us knowing history of all of this stuff. When that aspect of the war was over, it was still craziness going on in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's the first thing I thought, like when it was like, yo, we finish over here in this leg. And I'm like, well, what about the Pacific? I know it's some crazy stuff going on over there. And then you saw them watching the news reports and saw them watching the footage from what was going on in the Pacific. I'm like, yeah, cause the Pacific still had some stuff going on until the bombs and, stuff like that happened. So, that was stuff. And I also wrote Salute the Rank. Not the man down, because that brought the whole thing, because that was episode 1 and then that was episode
everything
10.
Full circle, right?
That brought everything full circle, and it also kind of showed you what Winters had learned as well, because Winters didn't want to address that before with Sobel. He ain't want to address that. He ain't want to talk about that with Sobel.
Yeah.
And it probably was like imposter syndrome or something like that. What a lot of us get, imposter syndrome. But he let him know. He even did something that I could see you doing. Like, hey, so like he called him back. Like hold up, no, you gonna stop. like that captain did me, senior. He said, senior.
We talked to you for a bit.
But no, you gonna stop. And you going, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Sobel's supposed to do that. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. I just recently had that kind of conversation with one of my sellers too, just about that aspect of the rank, man.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that no matter how far, and this review and everything, I feel like I didn't touch on mad elements from this whole episode just in this review. But that's one of the things that no matter how far that we go, as a Navy, as an organization, whatever, I don't ever think we should forget about that part of it, and that's the rank structure, and that's the respect for that aspect of it, or whatever like that. We all need to respect each other as humans, right? All of us, up and down the chain of command. But I also think that a customary thing that I don't want to see go, right, and it's just my own self, is that respect for rank. I was so happy to pop tall and salute Mr. Gonzalez, Warrant Gonzalez today. I was so happy to pop tall and salute him.
Yeah.
It just felt so great, man, to salute somebody that I was on a deck place with as a first class and shit. Like I said, I get a kick out of
Oh
that,
yeah.
so I'm sorry to that captain. You know what I'm saying? I apologize to you, man. He is with his wife, man. He trying to
Yeah,
show her
man.
like
You know
he
it.
the man. I'm the
Yeah,
man out here.
yeah. This my
They
base.
salute me out
This
here.
my
Like
base. This my base. That's what I do.
yeah, they salute me out this joint. But yeah, Band of Brothers, loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. We're going to actually review the show. We've been reviewing it episodically. We're going to give our take on the show next week. To all the audience, thanks for sitting through our assessment of what happened this week in the beginning of the episode. And hopefully, you got another good time with us, man. We love and appreciate you. Go buy some damn t-shirts.
Show. Just get them t-shirts, man. Holla at your boy. Mississippi, please stand up.
Mm-hmm.